This is a quick guide to content creation. I nailed it the first time. Why create content? First, we have to ask ourselves, why are we spending time creating something when there's so much information out there? Well, for most people, you have a specialty area that the world needs to hear. We know that statistically, only 8% of the United States has a master's degree. I know that much of my audience is counselors, practitioners, psychiatrists that have private practices. So in a regular room of 100 people, you are in the top 8 just academically. And then we take into account your specialty area. For most people, you have a huge amount of expertise and a very small ego, whereas most of the world has a giant ego and small expertise. You have skills, even if you don't have a master's degree, that people need. Now, there's lots of things that get in the way of that we could talk about, like imposter syndrome or who am I, those sorts of things, but those are for other videos. So let's start with that you have something to say that matters, and you don't want to just talk, you actually have something to say. I heard someone say once, do you have something to say or do you just want to say something? Have something to say that's going to impact people. And we're going to go through some strategies here that are going to help you come up with ways that will actually help you create content quickly while also serving your audience. So we know that content helps people build trust. It helps people know that you are a normal person that's learned some things that can guide them. The more that you create content that resonates with the pain and the outcomes of your audience, it's going to help build that trust. And more trust equals more dollars equals a bigger business. Now, it's not just about the business, of course. We can talk about impact on the world. At Practice of the Practice, we talk about the 4 I's: income, innovation, influence, and impact. But in this section, that trust actually translates to actual dollars. The next tip before we really dive in is that you're going to want to break it down more. In general, you probably have these big ideas. You need to break it down more. I would much rather see you create 5 pieces of content that are smaller than a huge piece of content that people aren't going to watch. If it's a video, a podcast, a blog post, if it's a series, that's going to go over much better than if you have a giant article. Now, maybe your style is to do a giant article and you attract people that love giant articles. Awesome. But for most people, if you break it down more and have it more specific, that's going to help you get more views, reads, and just people will want to share it more. So what's the quick guide to content creation? First and foremost, we want to use numbers sometimes. I'm going to give you some tips on ways to think about things. You don't have to do it in this order, but I want you to kind of think through how you might use this. So we see this all over the place, whether it's BuzzFeed, Apple News, the things that get clicks oftentimes have numbers. The 5 things you need to know about content creation, 7 reasons content is king, all these different things, the 8 apps that every small business owner should have. People want those quick numbered things, and that's going to help you create a really clear list of something that you're working on. So for example, say you have a practice where you're helping people with depression. It might be the 7 warning signs of depression. Or it might be 5 ways to know if your kid's addicted to video games. People will quickly read through those headers. They may not even read all your paragraphs, but they're going to then see you as someone that they can trust. Another way to create content is to do how-to videos. So this could be how to do this, how to set up a Google business page, how to set up a Facebook page, how to lock down your kids' phones so they don't look at pornography. Whatever it is that's your specialty area, you could do how-to videos about that. People are going to come back to that over and over and over. Think about the videos that your kids, if you have kids, go to. It's usually they go back to the same ones over and over. I know our kids love the Cosmic Kids Yoga. They watch those over and over. It's how to do these yoga moves, and they go on these adventures. If you create something that's a how-to that doesn't get out of date, people are going to go back to it over and over again. Next, we want to use email as inspiration. I'm sure you get email questions from people, whether it's in your practice or your consulting or your YouTube video or your podcast. People email you and say, I'm just stuck in this area. Keep track of those emails, whether it's in a Google Drive doc, whether you have your assistant keep track of it, or you put it into a spreadsheet. Keep track of those. Those are inspiration for you to create content because people are asking those questions. One thing that I did actually when I was first starting out is I would go into LinkedIn groups. And in most of those groups, you can't just put your blog posts in there unless it relates to a question. So someone might ask a question like, how do I name a counseling private practice? I would go and I would write a blog post about how to name a counseling private practice. Then I would take that link and put it right in there. Rather than answer the question in the comments, I wrote the blog post answer and then put that in the comments, which was legal within that group. You always want to check the rules for LinkedIn or Facebook or any of those groups, just so you don't make the admin really mad at you. Next, we want to also look at a spin on current events. What's already trending? So if you're a psychologist, what would be a psychological perspective on what's happening right now? If you maybe are a naturopath or a nutrition specialist, from a nutrition standpoint, if something's trending, what is it that you think about that? You have expertise and a lens that's going to assist other people to see things in a little bit different way. So really take advantage of that specialty that you've developed. The last advice I have for you is to stay true to yourself. I know this sounds cliche, but be who you are. What's going to make you stand out is going to be you being you. You're awesome. You have great ideas. You're quirky. I know that thing that your husband or wife or partner or friend says is super crazy. Bring that out into the open. Own it. Be nuts about it. Because the more that you can do that, the more you're going to stand out. Otherwise, you're going to just be another talking head that's out there that's just giving some list. Let your own personality come out. Be the person that you are. And it's way more fun. If I had to be the kind of button-up, wear a tie consultant, I would hate it. But if I wear a t-shirt and a sweatshirt to work and I jump on phone calls or maybe even do a Facebook Live, I love it. And maybe people look at me and say, wow, he's so scrubby sometimes. But I don't care. I thought about, should I shave this thing down for this YouTube series? But this is my beard. I like my beard. And if you don't like it, don't follow my YouTube channel. So that's who I am. Because when people like you, they're in. And when they don't, you don't want them there anyway. So be true to you. Hey, if you like this and you want more content, we've got tons of resources over at practiceofthepractice.com/resources. There should be a link somewhere down here. Also, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I don't know if it'll be up here or here or here. We'd love for you to come get more of these videos that I put out every week. Thanks so much. Have an awesome week.